All right, good evening. Thank you so much for coming to our Christmas celebration. We're so glad you're here. And I want to start by thanking Megan again and the entire YCP Dallas team for putting on tonight's event and for all of their incredible efforts this year. They have really done an incredible job for us. So let's give them another round of applause. Thank you. I'd also like to echo our gratitude to Dave and all of the staff at Catholic Charities. We love having offices here, and it's definitely been a highlight for us this year, so thank you for your belief in us. We really appreciate that. I also want to thank so many of you who have been with YCP from the very beginning. I see so many faces and friends who have been part of this adventure, so many board members and donors who are here tonight, so I really thank all of you for being here. Thanks for coming. All right. So how wonderful that we get to be together in the middle of our Advent journey. There's this sense that we are on this journey with our entire church. And I love Advent because it's a time when we can reorient ourselves and make sure that we're walking in the right direction with our lives. And in a sense, Advent is a metaphor for our entire life. As Christians, we know that our life is a journey. It's a journey where we travel with Jesus. We walk in the direction that he has pointed out to us and that he is pointing out to us. So towards the end of Jesus' time on earth, the gospel says that he went on ahead going up to Jerusalem. And in addition to the actual city that he ascended to, Jerusalem represents the goal to which he's directing us, to God, to the heights of God. And this is the destination of our lives. So think for a moment of a roped team. Climbers, if they're trying to get up the mountain, they're often tied together by rope to help each other journey up the mountain. And so Pope Emeritus Benedict has drawn a similar parallel for us. He says that as Christians, that we know that it's Jesus who's pulling us up the mountain. But at the same time, journeying with Jesus is a recognition that we journey with others, that we're on a journey with others up the mountain. And so this comes with a responsibility to hold on tight to the rope, not to break the rope through our pride or our self-interest. We have to hold on tight to the rope. So Pope Emeritus Benedict says that being on this roped team is an essential part of us following Christ to God. So tonight I'm going to talk about the journey. I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey and how that led to the creation of Young Catholic Professionals. Then I'll talk a little bit about some plans that YCP has to help us journey together. And then finally, I'll challenge us to embrace YCP's threefold purpose. Number 1, to commit to our Catholic identity. Number 2, to rely on the support of community, which is our rope team. And then number 3, is to take up the call to follow Christ daily through sacrifice and perseverance. Okay, so a little bit about me. As you all can see, I have come quite a long way in my journey. But really, it has been just an incredible adventure from day one. So I was born in the Philippines, and my brother was born in Hong Kong. And then we moved to Norway, Connecticut, San Antonio, and then Miami, which is where I ultimately ended up going to high school. And all of this travel really gave me, I think, a greater appreciation for people and also a little bit of a restless spirit as I was trying to find my place in the world. So then I went to undergraduate at Trinity University in San Antonio, and I worked for a couple of years at Merrill Lynch. And then I decided to go back to school to get my MBA at Texas A&M. Whoop. And I was ultimately recruited by a consulting firm here in Dallas, so that's what brought me to Dallas. But the interesting thing is that I had 8 months off in between grad school and this new job. So it was an unbelievable time in my life to step back. I didn't have a work deadline, I didn't have an exam. So it was really this incredible time that I had to step back and take stock of who I was and where I was going. And this led to a process of intense soul searching as I was trying to figure out my purpose in life. So I definitely thought a lot about my faith during this time. You know, growing up, I was definitely exposed to our Catholic faith, But I realized during this time that my faith was surface level, that I called myself Catholic, but I didn't know what I believed, and I didn't have the confidence to live my faith. I definitely didn't have a prayer life. So I decided to ask God to help. So for about 2 months, I prayed and asked for God to help me, to teach me how to be with him, how to pray. And it was unbelievable. I remember one defining moment one day where I felt this outpouring of God's love and mercy and the sense that he had been with me on this journey all along. And it was at that moment that I decided I want to be an authentic Catholic. And I commit to following Christ every day for the rest of my life. So it was this profound conversion experience in my faith that ultimately led to the inspiration for young Catholic professionals. I knew there had to be other young people like me who wanted to learn how to live in the world but not be of the world. People who wanted to live their faith in daily life, including the workplace. So in the couple of months before my job started, I recruited some friends. Many of you are here tonight to help me. I got some amazing speakers to line up for our first speaker list. I got some quarterly sponsorship from a company. And what is just unbelievable is what started as an inspiration from God just some 7 years ago has now become a rapidly growing national organization. Praise God. So a little bit about YCP's journey now. The YCP journey is really unfolding before our eyes. So let's take it back to where it began, 2010. So literally, this was the build phase. We created YCP from nothing. So you'll see here the first iteration of our YCP logo. I think I gave my aunt about a 24-hour deadline to produce this logo. My brother came up with the name. My mom came up with the slogan, Working in Witness for Christ. She also suggested that St. Joseph the Worker be our patron saint. And it was just a really wonderful, creative time. The first 3 years of our life, trying out our programs and really ultimately developing a model that could then be scaled across the country. So then what started to happen this first 3 years is we started to get an influx of people from other cities saying, we hear about what's happening in Dallas, and we think that YCP should be in our city. We'd like to bring YCP to our city. So we deliberated and ultimately decided to take this local ministry and convert it into a national organization that would launch chapters across the country, almost like a franchise. And the lawyer who did all of the legal work for us is here tonight, Pat Mitchell, so let's give him a round of applause for all of that. Thank you so much, Pat. So we then entered into the next phase, 2014 to about today. So 3 years, we went from 1 chapter in Dallas, to 16 chapters across the nation. Rapid growth. So we launched in Fort Worth, we launched in San Antonio, in Houston, Denver, Austin, Orange County. We tried to launch in Omaha. We were asking the team, are you sure we should launch in January? Don't you all get snow? They said, oh, no problem. Of course, it was the worst blizzard ever, so they ended up launching the next month, attempted to launch in Omaha. Chicago, 550 people at the kickoff event. Cleveland, San Diego, Phoenix, Silicon Valley, Jacksonville, New Orleans, Detroit. It's just amazing to see this growth. We're launching next quarter in Orlando and Portland. And it's just amazing. YCP has been to the Holy Land. YCP's been at a Cubs game. YCP has been at Lourdes, been to Lourdes. We've been in service projects, and we have been to the Vatican. And so here we are, really kind of poised at this next stage in our life, where if we keep growing at this rate, by the end of next year, we could be reaching 3,000 people across the country. And that's a huge audience of people who are really looking to YCP to help them grow. And while our current programming is very dynamic and helping thousands of young Catholics across the nation, many of you view YCP as sort of a series of events rather than a journey to help you grow as Catholics and professionals and leaders for the church. And so we want to change that. We intend to create a formalized path for every single person so that there's a clear definition and direction to your YCP experience. So for some of you, this will basically look like just climbing up the mountain, just a little further. You'll make progress. And the great thing is through this path that we've designed for you, you'll be able to see how far you've come. You'll be able to see the tools that you've acquired along the way. For others of you, you'll want to go to the summit. And so we are going to create a leadership capstone as the culmination of your YCP experience that is intended to be a source of leaders for our church. So if you can imagine, we want you to feel equipped to be these servants for your parishes and for the ministries that we care about in our community. We want you to feel like you have the tools to go lead a new program at your parish, or to serve on the board of Catholic Charities or a local school, or even for your local pro-life group. We want you to feel the confidence to really be part of this leadership and direction for our church. And if we're able to achieve this, YCP will really be that bridge that is so needed in our world today. So, as you can imagine, it's going to require a lot of resources and time to build this out. But the great news is that we're going to be building this in phases. So you'll see more of an emphasis from us on your experience as a journey rather than just this menu of events that you can participate in. We'll be investing in deepening our relationships with parishes and communities, and also investing in technology to help you connect with each other and share your ideas with us. So the other great news is that there is a role for every single person here in the room today. We would really love for you to contact us about using your talents and your skills to help us build out this program. There's really something for everyone. And one idea that we've explored is potentially putting together small groups where you work on specific elements of this vision and help us push this forward. So I really do encourage you to touch base with me if you're interested. So as promised, I will challenge us now to embrace YCP's threefold purpose. Our first purpose is to foster and encourage Catholic identity. Just like climbing a mountain, we have to make that decision to climb. We have to commit, and we have to know where we're going. We're going to heaven. And so that commitment is essential to the journey. It's part of that first step. And we have to rely on our church as our roadmap. Our Blessed Mother, whose feast we celebrate today, she is our shining star. She's our guide for the journey. And we have all the saints who have gone before us. They're our help along the way. And then we have the Eucharist. The Eucharist is our food for the journey. So we have to embrace this opportunity to be the best Catholics that we can be and make the decision to climb to the summit, to heaven, number one. Number two is we have to rely on community, our version of this roped team. We can't do this alone. We can't get to heaven alone. We need each other. Yes, we may be on different stages of our ascent, but we're on this journey together. And it can be so easy to be discouraged in this day and age by the attitudes or lifestyles of our coworkers or the lack of religious freedom, you name it. But when we know that we have a team of Catholics who are journeying alongside us, we have more confidence knowing that we're supported. We have to rely on community, and that is what YCP membership is for. Instead of us sort of being in this rut or having these spiritual highs that we can't sustain on our own, YCP membership is there so that you can maintain that steady pace up the mountain. And then lastly is the call to action. We have to make that decision to sacrifice daily for Christ. Every single one of us wants to have this massive, meaningful contribution to the world, but the only way that we can do it is through step-by-step daily acts of sacrifice. And that requires discipline, and that requires humility. We have to be disciplined in our prayer life. We have to avail of the sacraments. And then we also have to use our workplace as an opportunity to grow in holiness. offering our work daily to God and using our workplace as a way to witness to our coworkers. We have to take that step every single day intentionally as part of sacrificing for the climb and making that trip up the mountain together. So in closing, we talked about the journey tonight, that Jesus is walking with us every single step of the way to heaven, and we need each other for the journey. That's essential. We have to rely on each other. And so YCP is really designed to help you make progress and help you get to heaven, which is the goal that we all share together. So to share how grateful we are for each and every one of you, we got these books for you on holy gratitude. So we want to thank you for being part of this journey with us, and we want to hear from you, and we want every single person in here today to be on this roped team with us on the journey to heaven. So thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.